Hey everyone, welcome back to my class. In today's class, we are going to study about the cilia. What is cilia? Cilia is nothing but a small hair-like structure. We also call it as cilia. Now, do not get confused between cilia and lateral appendages. Cilia is small hair-like structure. Lateral appendages are small hair fiber-like structure. Those are nothing but fibers. But here you have hair-like structure. Where will you find cilia? Cilias are found in ciliated protists. When I say protist means which kingdom? I am talking about kingdom protista. In kingdom protista, which all organisms I am going to put? That is your unicellular eukaryote or prokaryote? Eukaryote. Unicellular eukaryote. Unicellular eukaryote. So the protista, the organisms who are under protista, if they are ciliated, if they have cilia, we call it as ciliated protist. Then we have epithelial lining of respiratory tract. That means the outer surface of respiratory tract also have cilia to trap dust particles. Then we have it in genital duct. For example, in fallopian tube, you will be having cilia for the passage of egg. Then we have ventricles of brain. Hold on. Ventricles of brain means what? I have heard ventricles in heart. How come in brain? So yes, it is there in brain as well. Ventricles is nothing but the cavity. Okay, we have some cavity in the brain. जैसे तुम्हारा दिमाग खाली है ना, तो उसी को हम ventricle बोलते हैं. Jokes apart class. So ventricle is nothing but it is a cavity which is filled with the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid. Because of this fluid, what happened? Your brain doesn't feel heavy to us. Okay. Now, arise from where did the cilia arise? We have already discussed. Cilia and flagella will arise from basal granule. Where these basal granules are situated? Below the pellicle, that is in the ectoplasm. Ultrastructure. If we have to see the structure of cilia, it is exactly similar to the structure of flagella. So what arrangement do we have in cilia? We have 9 plus 0, 9 plus 2 arrangement. We have 9 plus 2 arrangement. What arrangement we have in the basal granule? 9 plus 0, because centriole is present over there, right? Now cilia serve as organelles for the function of, what are the function of cilia? It helps in the locomotion, collection of food. We also call it as feeding, or sensory structure, which we also call it as neuromotor. Okay, neuromotor response, right? Now, cilia in primitive ciliate, we are going to see three types of ciliates. So the first one is over here is your primitive ciliate. What is the meaning of primitive? Primitive means old ciliates. If I'll say ciliate means you have to understand organism having cilia. So the organism which has cilia, we call it as ciliates. So all ciliates may you have one example, paramecium. P for primitive, P for paramecium. Now when we talk about the old ciliate or primitive ciliate, paramecium, for example paramecium, the entire body is covered with cilia. Just see this picture. The whole body is covered with cilia. This kind of organisms we call it as primitive ciliate. What about the advanced ciliate? When you see advanced ciliate, they are advanced. Obviously, some good thing must be, some good evolution must have happened in them, right? So, when we see advanced ciliate, for example, what is cilia? Cilia are restricted to the peristomial region. Now, what is stomial class? Do you remember we have studied about the stomia? Stomia means mouth. Stomia means mouth. So peri means along and stomial means mouth. So where will you see cilia? In this picture you can see cilia is present around the mouth region. So which region? Peristomial. See, for your understanding I am saying it is in the mouth region, but while writing in the paper you're supposed to write it peristomial region, right? That is the advanced ciliate. What about the suctorian ciliate? Sucking cereal, okay, which sucks. So suctorian ciliates are nothing but example is your acinata. In suctorian ciliates you will see cilia only in the juvenile stage. What is the meaning of juvenile stage? It is the stage before reproductive stage. Okay, so before reproductive stage, whatever stage is going on, we call it as juvenile stage. Now in adult, they are replaced. In adult, cilia which were present at the juvenile stage are going to replaced by foot sucking tentacles. Okay, so these tentacles, cilia is going to convert. Hydra you have seen now, in hydra we have tentacles. These are the tentacles. Okay, so these tentacles are basically, when we talk about the acineta during juvenile stage, we have cilia. These cilias are going to convert into tentacles which are going to suck food. Okay. Now, let's jump into another concept, that is infraciliary system. When we talk about the infraciliary system, see, we understood what is cilia. But what cilia consists of, how does it work, we are supposed to learn. So, when we talk about the infraciliary system, again this system is going to present below the pellicule and in the ectoplasm, right? Because what happened, cilia to upar se, suppose this is your basal body, cilia will form over here. So this is below the pellicule. This is your pellicule. That is nothing but your protein layer. Okay, pellicule is nothing but the protein layer. So below protein layer you have granules, and beneath that only you have infraciliary system. The another name of infraciliary system is silver line system, not given in your textbook. If you don't want to study, leave it. Okay, formed by all kinetics together. Put question mark over here. You will not understand this right now. Now, when I talk about the infraciliary system, class, if I talk about the digestive system, it is a system which consists of lots of organs, lots of parts, right? For example, it starts with mouth, then esophagus, stomach, intestine. So, obviously, when I talk about the infraciliary system, so it will also be consisting of different parts or components. So, what are the different parts of infraciliary system? We have three parts. First one is kinetosomes, second one is kinetodesmal fibrils, and the third one is kinetodesmata. Now class, I think I have heard this somewhere. Can anybody tell me where I have heard this? Where we have studied this? Where we have studied, class? Kinetosomes is also called as, very good, basal granule. It is also called as basal granule, right? Now this diagram you're supposed to draw in notebook. It is not given in your textbook, but if you'll not draw, you won't be understand properly. So I have drawn paramecium over here. Now this paramecium, obviously everywhere cilia will be there, but for clarity I have drawn it only one side. Now if you will see, I have marked this basal, this green color one is called as basal body. Basal body is also known as kinetosomes. Okay, so this green color one is your kinetosome. Now class, tell me, are these kinetosomes are arranged longitudinally or transversely? Let's first understand the concept of longitudinal and transverse. Now see, suppose this is an organism and this I am drawing the basal body. So I am drawing basal body means kinetosomes, right? From kinetosomes you will see cilia. So now suppose this is your kinetosome. So if I'll talk about this way of cilia, that is your vertical way, then we call it as longitudinal. But at the same time, if we'll talk about the horizontal one, this we call it as transverse. हम बोलते हैं ना transverse section. Okay, so this way we call it as transverse. किसी भी organism का class, किसी भी organism का, if you cut it vertically we call it as longitudinal. If you cut it horizontally we call it as transverse, right? So here you can see, class, here you can see, is this vertical or sorry, is it longitudinal or transverse? Tell me, is it longitudinal or transverse? It is longitudinal. It is not transverse, right? So I can see kinetosomes are arranged longitudinally, right? And what are kinetosomes? These are the basal granules. Now if you will see carefully, from the kinetosome towards the right side, some fibers are coming out. What are these fibers? These fibers are nothing but kinetodesmal fibers. I am repeating again. Kinetosomes, from the kinetosomes there will be the formation of cilia, and from the kinetosomes there will be the formation of fibrils. Okay, not the formation, there will be the connection of fibrils. There will be the connection of fibrils which will connect to the kinetosomes. These fibrils are nothing but your kinetodesmal. Now all these fibrils will unite together, group together longitudinally. See, it is coming down this way. If I'll see, it is longitudinally coming down, right? Now this group of fibril we call it as kinetodesmata. This group of fibril we call it as kinetodesmata. Let me repeat this again. Class, here you have basal granule. From the basal granule there will be formation of cilia. This basal granule is also called as kinetosomes. Now from the kinetosomes there is attachment of fibril. This fibril we call it as kinetodecimal fibril. All the fibrils will come towards the right side and form group over here. This group we call it as cord of fiber. So this cord of fiber is nothing but we call it as kinetodesmata. So this is your kinetodesmata. This basal granule is your kinetosomes, and this fiber is nothing but your kinetodecimal fiber, right? Now let's see what is written in your textbook. Kinetosomes or basal body, where it is present in transverse. So just now I showed you, it could be present in a transverse way, or it could be present. Transverse way means it could be present in a transverse way, or it could be present in a longitudinal way. This is your longitudinal row at the base of the cilia. So obviously kinetosomes, from kinetosomes, if cilia is going to originate, that means where it is present, it is present at the base of the cilia, right? Now kinetodecimal fibrils are nothing but connected to the kinetosome. That's what we have seen in the picture, right? Kinetodecimal fibrils run along the right side. Yahi banaya tha. This is your kinetosomes, and from here the fibrils comes out where it is going towards the right side of each longitudinal. This is your longitudinal vena. So from each longitudinal, this is your longitudinal, and from each longitudinal kinetosomes fibrils comes out and it forms the cord of fiber, group of fiber. We call it as kinetodesmata. So what is kinetodesmata? It is nothing but the cord of fiber. I hope this is clear to you, right? Then first page pe we have seen about the kinetics. But before moving ahead, you are supposed to understand what is kinetic. So all the three components which we have studied, when we combine them, we call it as kinetic. That means kinetosomes with kinetodecimal fibrils with kinetodesmata, all three of them will form your kinetic. Let's see what is the definition of kinetic. Class, please just do not write the formula. If a definition is asked, you are supposed to write the definitions as well, right? Now, kinetic is nothing but a longitudinal row of kinetosome. यही देखा था हमने. This is the longitudinal row of kinetosomes all together with the kinetodesmata. Kinetodesmata is nothing but the cord of fiber. So this fiber which is there, this fiber is called as kinetodesmata. So a longitudinal row of kinetosomes together with the kinetodesmata, we call it as kinetic. So we have studied about the three components. All these three components together called as kinetic. Now what is infraciliary system? Infraciliary system is all the kinetic. Now see class, suppose this is one longitudinal row. So from one longitudinal row, fibrils are coming out and then they are going to attach together to form cord, right? So this is going to form your one kinetic. Then we have another longitudinal row. Another longitudinal row will have its own cord of fiber. So it is going to form another kinetic. Same. So this way we have many kinetics present in an organism. So all the kinetics together to form a ciliary system. Sorry, infraciliary system. So if I'll talk about the infraciliary system, it is nothing but when all the kinetics we are considering, that we call it as infraciliary system. Correct? So what we have studied? We have studied the three components. Three components combined is called as kinetics, and all kinetics are called as your infraciliary system. Correct? Now, another concept which we have to study in the system for the movement of cilia is we call it as motorium. Okay, motorium is nothing but the specialized region located near the cytopharynx. Let me show you the picture over here if I can. Where is it? Okay. See here class. So this is the structure of paramecium. Here you can see the cytopharynx over here. Now just near to the cytopharynx we have another structure that we call it as motorium. So motorium is nothing but the specialized region which is located near the cytopharynx. It is a part of broader neuromotor system. Like in us we have nervous system, correct? So for them they have neural motor system which includes the network network of fibers. We have network of neuron. They have network of fibers. And the structure which is responsible for integrating sensory input. Class, if we'll touch any hot cooker, so the information from the skin is going to pass to CNS through sensory nerve, sensory neuron, right? And from CNS it will pass to the effector through motor neuron. So here brain is going to integrate, process the signal, right? It is going to process the signal. That is what it is written over here. It is going to integrate, understand and process the signal. So there will be sensory input. That means sensory nerves are going to bring the input and the generate motor response. Okay. Now motorium is essential for the control center of ciliary movement. So we know that the infraciliary system will do its performance, its function. But how does it do? Who tells, who gives the information? Okay, you have to do your function. Who gives? It's your motorium. So motorium is the one who tells cilia in which direction you're supposed to bit and what is the speed of the cilia, right? At what speed the cilia is supposed to beat, that is also being guided by the motorium. Now infraciliary system is connected to motorium. See here class, infraciliary system we have already seen three components are there. These three components will form kinety. All kinety is going to form your infraciliary system. So infraciliary system along with the motorium is going to form your neuromotor system. Now these neuromotor system are going to help in control and coordinate the movement of cilia. Let's wind up everything in a single page. So kinetosomes along with kinetodecimal fibrils and kinetodecimata is going to form your kinety. All kinetes together are going to form infraciliary system. Is it going to form your motorium? No, it is not going to form motorium. It is going to form your infraciliary system. Infraciliary system along with the motorium is going to form your neuromotor system, and this neuromotor system is responsible for the control and coordination movement of the cilia. Right? Now, this is super important class, the difference between flagella and cilia. I have also written few additional point, but it is given in your textbook, so you're supposed to remember it. Okay. Now, when we talk about the appearance, flagella is long and cilia is short. Flagella is whip-like structure, cilia is hair-like structure. When we talk about the number, we have 1, 2, 4 or many flagella. We have seen a number of flagellas example, right? So we can have one flagella or we can have many flagella, but when we talk about the cilia, we do not have one cilia, we have many cilia. From where it originates? Flagella originates from the anterior end, and cilia, if you'll see, cilia is going to be found at the all over the body surface, or it can be found in the peristomial region. Now when we talk about the unity, flagella do not have cirri. Now two words you're supposed to understand class, cirri and undulating. Cirri is nothing but, here you can see in the picture, when your cilia fuse together like this, like a tent. Okay, when cilia fuse together like a tent, this type of structure we call it as cirri. But sometimes cilia will move one by one. So due to movement of one by one, what will happen? There will be a wave-like movement which we call it as undulating. Undulating means wave-like. So do we see cirri in flagella? No, we will not see any cirri in flagella. Okay, flagella do not unite to form cirri, but we will see cirri and undulating movement in your cilia, right? Now, are the lateral appendages present in cilia? It can be present or absent, but in cilia it's always absent. Okay, sorry, I think I said cilia. In flagella it can be present or absent, but in cilia it's always absent. What about the naked filament? What is the meaning of naked filament? Filament which is not covered by the outer sheath. So it can be present and absent in flagella, but it is always absent in flagella. Sorry, cilia. I am repeating same mistake. Okay, anyways, the cause of the movement. When the flagella is moving, what will move? Your organism will move. What about the cilia? When the cilia is moving, your organism will move, as well as the surrounding fluid will also move. See, when you do swimming, when you're moving your hand, obviously the water will also move. If you're putting your leg inside the water and आप move करते हैं, तो क्या होता है कि surrounding fluid will also move. Now, move organism with respect to the surface of attachment. Now, see here, suppose this is the flagella. Okay, and this is the movement of your water. Now how flagella is moving? Flagella is going to move perpendicular, that means 90 degree. Flagella is going to move 90 degree with respect to the movement of water. It could be anywhere class, I have just taken one example. तो कहीं भी अगर water का movement है तो flagella is always going to be 90 degree, showing the 90 degree movement, that is your perpendicular. But at the same time, if I talk about the cilia, now this is your cilia and the movement of water is over here. So cilia is going to move along with the water and then come back again. So that we call it as beating movement. Okay. So it is going to show parallel movement. Now flagella shows undular movement, that is nothing but the wave-like movement. See here. So if this is flagella, flagella will move like this, like a wave. And your cilia shows pendular movement. So we all have seen pendulum. So pendulum will go here, then move over here, then it will come back and go there. So we call it as back and forth motion, right? Now what is the function of flagella? It helps in the locomotion. What is the function of cilia? It helps in the locomotion, food collection or feeding, or it is going to help in the sensory function, that is your neuromotor function. Now speed of locomotion, flagella is going to show slow locomotion, when cilia is going to show fast locomotion. So when there will be the beating in the cilia, cilia is going to beat much faster as compared to the flagella, right? Now the last concept is your myonemes. Myoneme is nothing but they are the contractile fibers. What is the meaning of contractile? Which contracts. Which contracts. Fibril is nothing but your fiber. Okay, so the fiber which helps in contracts, we call it as contractile fiber. Which protein is present in contractile fiber? We have studied this, that is your actin and myosin. So what is contractile fiber? Contractile fibers are microscopic rod shaped structure and it is a fundamental unit. Where you will see myoneme, it is again below the pellicel and ectoplasm. Write it in the comment box and tell me which all structure, system or organ you will see below the pellicel. Okay, now many contractile fibers are bundled together. See, if I have one contractile fiber, maybe while contracting it can get ruptured. So what will happen? Many contractile fiber will unite together. While uniting, what it forms? It forms a bundle. Now it is easy for the bundle to contract rather than the single contractile fiber, correct? So we will see the bundle where it will be present in the muscle cell. Now what is the function of it? It helps in the movement, breathing, digestion and maintaining the posture. Whatever activities you are doing class, it is happening because of the contraction and relaxation of your muscle. Okay, here in myonemes, it is the contractile fibers which are contracting. Where will you see myonemes? You will see in apicomplexan, then flagellates and ciliates. Who are ciliates? Organisms which has cilia. Who are flagellates? Organisms which has flagella. Then what about apicomplexan? Apicomplexan are nothing but the obligate intracellular parasite. What is the meaning of obligate? It is compulsory. Obligate means compulsory. What is the meaning of intracellular? Intra means within the cell. Within the cell. Parasite means who feed on the living organism. Who feed on the living organism. So epicomplexans are nothing but they are obligate intracellular parasite. These are the parasites which are going to enter inside the cell and going to feed on the living organisms, right? Okay, so that's all we have in today's class. I hope you understood. Please make all the notes, and that's all we have in today's class. We'll meet in next class. Thank you.